All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Frankie J Experience Nightcap, the after show. We just got done with our 8 o'clock live show over on podbrothernation.com with Ref Kimbrough and special guest Jason Hill. It was a wonderful, great experience. We enjoyed ourselves. Jason had a great time. Ref Kimbrough had a great time. He'll be joining me here just in a moment. Thanks, Rocksteady, for being here. And also, I hope I pronounced this right, Mai. Nice to see you. Thanks for being here. And there's Kimbrough right now. He finally decided to show up, so I want to go ahead and invite him up here since he is the oil in my engine. I have to learn how to use my mouse here a little bit. I got a mouse for my iPad, and I'm still learning how to use it. It's pretty cool. But in any event, yeah, we just did our live show over there on podbrothernation.com. It was a great time. Kimbrough, welcome to the stage.
What's happening?
What's happening? The Buffalo Bills are happening pretty soon. I'm excited about the Bills. I can't
I,
stop thinking about them. I'm dreaming about them.
the Bills are going to be doing it. I think the prediction for the Super Bowl with the Bills and the Rams. What do you think?
I said the same thing. I said it probably about 3 months ago to a girlfriend of mine. I said it's going to be the Rams and the Bills because the Rams will repeat, and it'll be the Bills taking it in Vegas. That's where they're meant to play. That's where they're meant to win. So I'm excited about
So,
it.
how do I turn my video on? I'm trying to. Okay,
Just
there we
invited
go.
you. Yep. See, I read your mind. But you're
There it
sideways again.
is.
Yep, you're sideways. We're gonna do it again. Yeah.
Sideways. There we go. We got
Yep.
this again.
Now you're angled. That's perfect. You just didn't drink your V8. Got to drink a little V8 sometimes. Nothing wrong with V8. But
Is that okay? Or now I'm
yeah,
upside down.
yeah, you're completely upside down now.
Here we go.
You got it. You're gonna figure one of these shows. We are gonna figure it out. There you are. You did it.
Okay.
You did it. Amazing.
But I want to have myself this way. So, okay, that's all right. We'll
Yeah,
do it
we
this
always
way.
have the follies. We are the follies of Fireside.
We are.
We are the follies. So I was telling everybody what a great show we had with special guest Jason Hill and how much fun we had and
It
all
was
that
fun,
stuff.
man.
Yeah.
It
So
was
what?
a ton of fun. As a matter of fact, I just put my new monitor up today. It's behind me.
Oh
I
boy,
should probably turn it on if I can find my remote control.
what do you got to put
So,
on your monitor? You gonna put a replay of a Bills game?
no, I'm going to put the replay of our show.
Oh, there you go. That's smart. Very good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But yeah, we're Ref and I decided that along with our weekly 8 o'clock Eastern time shows, that we'll do an after show, call it the nightcap, and go over the show that we had. And if anybody missed out on it, we can, give them some information on what they missed, and we can tell them a little bit more about what's to come and who's going to be on next. And we thought that would be a really good idea. And while Ref is scrambling around there in the background, I just want to let everybody know that my website is up and being built. The fortune cookie there, my website, frankiejexperience.com, and my email, info@frankiejexperience.com. And the next website you're going to see will be podbrothernation.com. That's where all of our live 8 p.m. Eastern time, 5 p.m. Pacific time shows are every Thursday live on that website. And then a penaltygame.com. I'm selling merchandise now. I actually have my first product out as far as merchandise is concerned. I have a baseball jersey, and it's custom, and it's going to be put on my website as soon as I'm done doing the show tonight. And between Ref and myself, we'll be able to get some more merchandise and products on the menu as far as Frankie J Experience. What do you think, Ref?
I like it. I like it. So, I got the show that we did earlier on the background on my screen. So,
Cool, cool.
that's what you see is what happened at 8 o'clock tonight and 5 o'clock LA time. So, that's
Yeah,
basically what
Jason
this
Hill was
show is
wonderful.
about.
Yeah,
Jason Hill was awesome. He
Yeah,
was
he's
awesome. He did a good job. You did a good job. I was very proud of your show today, Frankie J. You did a really great job. I can see you're starting to settle into your greatness, and it's cool to see. It's cool to see that you are finally embracing yourself and settling into the cockpit. You haven't gotten in the fourth gear yet, but
Yep.
you at least the first, second, and third and fourth, you're fucking grinding those gears, man. You know
Yep.
exactly what you need to do.
Yep. I can drive without a clutch, baby. I know how to do it.
Yeah, yeah, you did good. Uh,
Yeah, it's getting
yeah,
easier
Jason
every
was a
time.
great guest to have, and he's a good dude. I mean, he's committed to what he's trying to do, and I'm glad to be a part of the platform, and I'm glad to um, you know be a friend. And I met him personally when I went down for the Podfest. He hooked me up with a ticket to go in there and do my thing. And
Yeah.
that's like $500 to get into it, and it was so worth it because man, it was just like thousands of podcasters going down, hundreds of panels. The networking was great. The parties and all of the exhibitors. I think I probably walked out of there with a stack of business cards like this, and most of them were interested in taking my stand-up comedy workshop, or either having me on their podcast or me having them on my podcast. So it was a very rich environment for those who are looking to podcast. And Jason had a booth set up with all the owl merchandise and the beach balls and the caps and the hats and the t-shirts, and I got so much stuff, man, I couldn't even get on a plane. I had to leave it.
You were saying that. I thought that was hysterical.
Yeah,
So
I,
you got a whole bag of stuff just waiting
I
down
I
there in
got like
Orlando.
T-shirts. I got podcast fest. I had like owl caps, and I had like a ton of stuff.
I
And
think is that Jason down there? Is that our Jason?
I don't know. Oh yeah, I think
Yeah, it is.
that is
It
Jason.
is
Hey,
Jason. Son of a
Jason,
gun.
welcome to
Yeah.
the after show,
Yeah, we're here. We're here doing the after bite
with the
or
after
the
party,
after. Yeah. Well, what all nightcap.
the nightcap, the
we're still
nightcap.
we're still trying to decide what we're gonna call it. The nightcap. I
Yeah,
like the nightcap because
yeah.
yeah, it's a good cap. But yeah, no, it was really
So
cool.
I mean, what we were talking about between this show and that show was one of the big takeaways I took from Podfest was the stats that came along with what's happening in the podcast industry. And, a lot of the other podcast um, vendors, they want you to really kind of bite into the hype of podcasts is growing so fast. If you don't get in now, you're going to be left behind. There's 7 million podcasters, and which is true. But what they didn't talk about was the inertia of podcasts. There's about 2 million podcasters that go in, but then 2 million drop out.
Yeah.
So the numbers the numbers aren't really accurate, which lets me know that people like you and I and Jason who stick with it are at the top percentile of podcasters. We're in that 500,000 consistent active podcasters of the 5 million podcasters that come in and come out.
Yeah.
Because we are doing it and we're sticking to it, we get pushed up to that upper percentile. So that was pretty exciting thing to know. The other thing that was exciting to know is 95% of the podcasters are not video podcasters. They're just audio only. So
Yeah.
the fact that we are actually doing video podcast puts us at the upper percentile of those podcasters that are actually doing video as well. So
Right.
those were two exciting numbers for me because right off the bat, I do video and I'm consistent with my broadcast, but my broadcast isn't on a traditional podcast platform. My broadcast is on Boxcast, which is a professional video network broadcast stream.
Oh. Yeah. Okay.
So,
Jason's on the stage with us actually.
Jason, what's
There
happening?
you
Hey.
This is Jason Barajas.
Jason, what's going on?
Not much. I mean, I'm also known as 72 the Architect
Yeah.
for my other stuff, but yeah, I've been in the business for audio for at least 7 years, and I've watched everything change. I started out with Anchor,
Yeah,
and
so did I.
when it started Anchor 1.0, there was like people just wanted to kind of connect how they do here, and then also in Clubhouse they just wanted to talk. They weren't really making content, and I knew that was going to end because I was like, I want to get into public speaking and making content to make money. I'm not here to, I mean, yeah, I make friends along the way, but yeah, there's a lot of people, there's a surge of people that got in at the start of COVID, and now there's even more with all the different platforms, and there's a lot of work you got to do. You just have to get used to your own voice. You have to get used to scripting. Like there's so much. I don't even have my website finished. You know, there's so much to video. So
That's what Ref
Yeah,
was
you
telling
got
me.
to definitely finish your website, because that's your digital footprint for your catch-all. That's your, that's your
right.
big net that you throw into the sea. You're throwing back the license plate, paint cans, and sharks, but you got to have a digital catch-all, and that's what your website is. So you definitely want to finish that and get it up. It's always going to be a work in progress, and
Yeah,
it's never going to be completely finished ever, because every day you do something, that's more stuff that you'll add to it. But definitely get that sucker finished.
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
It's just like the amount of time that I have in my day to like by the time I get home and then being a dad and being a partner to somebody. Like I just got home a little while ago and my woman's just like, just go chill. Just don't even bother with us right now. Just go chill.
Wow.
And
Where'd you
it's
find
like,
her? Where do I get
well,
one of them?
she just knows that when I'm extremely tired is not the time for me to go have discussions or talks, you know. And I wanted to come up on stage to tell you, Frankie, thank you last night because I was up late last night, and
Yeah. Yeah, I jumped on Wisdom there for a little bit, which is usually I don't get on that late, but I was tossing and turning, so I decided to get on and talk.
yeah. So, but I mean, putting all the pieces together, your website, you've got to market, you've constantly got to make art for your content. You got to script, you got to make it important to know your timing, like short form or long form. You know, which are you gonna really stick to, and then your consistent time. But what I've learned from other professional podcasters that are at that level where they're making consistent income is it's content promotion, and they don't do much of live stream at all. They they put it out there. It's like casting a fishing net and just waiting for the, for the bigger fish to come bite, and and that's the listeners. And
Yeah, and the
take
reason why they don't do live stream is because it's costly and it's complicated, and there's a lot more involved in making sure the live stream looks like a pre-recorded.
right,
And that
Oh,
additional effort and work, if you don't have the bandwidth already to do a recorded show, you're definitely not going to have the bandwidth to do a live stream show, because live is live. Live is like a baby is born and you got to go to the hospital and bring it home. No ifs, ands, or buts. Whereas
right.
pre-recorded is like,
You can
you
edit it. You can make it look
at your
pretty.
own time. Yeah, you can make it
Yeah,
look pretty and you can get to it, and so you can set it down. It's not anything urgent, but live stream, it's no joke. Like right at Bing, if you
yep.
if you're prepared, you could get lucky and everything could go according to plan, or you could be unlucky and things don't go according to plan, but you still got to roll with whatever's in front of you. So
right.
being a
That's
stand-up
funny.
comic
Yep.
and having that stand-up comedy experience where you walk out on the audience with the game plan only to find out it's not working, and on the fly you got to figure out how to win these people over in the next 59 minutes. uh, that experience has made doing a live stream
Yeah,
podcast like a cakewalk, you know, because I have all these tools that can help me, uh, you know, make it sexy, make it cool. But if it doesn't go according to plan, I'm okay with just like figuring out how to push through it, because that's what you do when you're a stand up and you're on stage. So most podcasters don't have that experience. Most people don't have entertainment experience, and they don't
Right.
have speaking in front of a live audience experience. So
Hmm.
just the thought of getting on a microphone and having one person listen to you with no video is frightening. And
Oh
then
yeah.
add a video to it freaks people out. And then to have to do that live,
Hmm.
it's just like they would rather die first. So I think those who have the fortitude to really like tackle the live and deal with the criticism that comes with it at the end of the day are the ones that's really going to be able to take advantage of a lot of opportunities that come with live that other folks don't.
Right. You have to have a tough skin. I mean, I went through different platforms from Anchor to Spoon to Stereo, then Wisdom. And it's just, I've been evolving. Every stage has taught me how to interview, understanding my content is mine, and being very disciplined about what I'm going to talk, because people will come and hijack your platform if you let them. A lot of us try to be polite, but I feel that you have to have a careful standbys of like, hey, that's interesting, but let's refocus on what we're talking about, because people will go off on a tangent. And then you've got, I call them woo woos. Woo woos are people that are into the feeling and into the mystical. And I'm like, that's great for some people. But for people who make real content that's about something exactly not on the spiritual realm, or just trying to make friends, when you're actually, say, like you're talking about being a dad, or you're talking about being a mechanic or whatever, people will associate their plight with yours and be totally off the mark. So you have to be kind enough, because you're on camera and people are going to see, and there's no faking on here. You can try to fake it, but people will
Right.
sort you out. So that's definitely something that I've dealt with.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I remember few years ago when I decided to try Facebook Live when I was on Anchor myself, and it worked fine on a cell phone, but when you try to add two microphones and interface, you have to have, computer and direct. It was the audio was coming way faster than the video, and then you have to get other programs and like back to what Ref Kimbrough said, it's not it's you have to be ready for it. And I learned very quickly that there was more involved with doing video live streaming than there was doing audio recorded, editing, published, you know, what do you call it, distribution. So it was a huge difference and change for me. This is actually the first site that I've been on that was video. And then I leveled up with Ref, and we're doing our live broadcast every week, 8 p.m. Eastern time on podbrothernation.com, which is, video audio. So it's a little bit level up from here, but this is a fun platform too. It's still young, it's still developing, as Stephanie McGann Jansen said last night. They're, for a few months in. So, they're still learning and putting things together. And then they had that 24-hour. Did you hear about that, Ref? There was a group of the content creators on here that did a 26 and a half hour
Rock
straight
City,
podcast.
I was there.
Yeah, 26
No,
and
I
a half
missed it.
hours straight.
That was my first time ever on here.
Oh, okay. You were part of it. I chimed in for a minute, but yeah, 26 and a half hours straight. They had content creators lined up in time slots to continue the show. They tried to break the world record, and they didn't, because they thought the world record was one number, but it was actually a higher number. So now they're planning another one in a couple months for 40 hours. They're going to do 40 hours straight of all different content creators, interview shows, whatever. But they have it organized so that there's something going on the whole time. It was like a marathon, I guess.
It was a bunch of different shows, kind of like one after the other, and I'm it was really amazing to watch Rocksteady just kind of coordinate, and he stayed up, you know, and that was moments that you're learning from. That was live. Like, to me, to be able to organize something like that, that takes an incredible amount of planning and being strategic.
Yeah.
It,
Well, he's been
it,
doing it a long time too. So
Yeah.
I think Ref knows who Rocksteady is on here, right? Ref, no.
I'm not on here enough to
Oh,
really
okay.
know all the players, but um, I want to get on here and create a little bit more of a footprint and learn who's what and what's up, what's down, and kind of learn this app a little bit better. Right now, I just come on with Frankie J because I've got so many other things, so many other plates spinning. It's hard to do them all, but
Yeah.
I really like this app, and I think there's got some potential. So I definitely want to have more of a footprint here. I just haven't had the bandwidth to yet, but I will.
Yeah. And there's been people asking for it to go to a desktop version as well and be offered on Android too. So cuz right now it's an Apple only and
I think you know what, out of all the apps that start out with Apple, that's the key. I hate to be discriminatory, but the Apple users are people that pay and they can afford, I hate to say, the demographics that affords iPhones for use or Mac equipment. Let's just face it, the demographic are people with money to spend. And I watched this happen with Stereo when Stereo switched to Android 2, and then when Clubhouse, it used to be invite only, and then when it went to Android, you had nothing, excuse my language, but there was nothing but trashy people constantly just trolling each other. They were just distracting from one another, and it was like, well, who's got a grip? And then Stereo, they sold to, I think they sold two different times, and Clubhouse hasn't sold to anyone. I remember when they came out, like it was the height of last year. Um, they were they were just at a level that like Mark Zuckerberg wanted to buy Clubhouse, and that didn't go through. I mean, it was like a proposal deal. I think it was like $1 billion that they wanted to propose to buy it, and they didn't. But then you had other apps like Haps, similar to this, very similar in their beta, and then they switched and it just became a social audio, not podcasting. So podcasters are finicky about apps, and even me, because when you deal with something like this, they're leaving their brand on your content. So that comes with caveats. So you just get, if you don't have a big name, no big deal. But for as you increase your audience, you start putting into monetization. These things do matter for your long-term distribution.
Hmm.
And
yeah. No, you're right. And actually Scott wanted to come up on the stage. Is there anything you wanted to say, Scott? Did you want to come on video since we're having a panel here?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah. You want
Yeah.
to come on video too?
Okay, cool. Yeah, I will, but I want to, yeah, accept access. And so, oh, sorry. Um, Full disclosure, I actually am a Fireside employee, and I'm just
Sweet.
like tuning in because you guys are, I mean, just to me, preaching the gospel and so interesting. And I just wanted to come on and say a couple things just real quick. Obviously,
Awesome.
what you just said about the, you know, trying to get to know the app and all that sort of stuff. Obviously, we're fairly nascent. We're building the ecosystem, if you will, and I just think it's important to note that like what we're trying to do is just give control of the voice and the relationships with the customer to your audiences. And you know, we think that a disintermediation or decentralization, if you will, within that is important because right now you're sort of beholden to some of the other gatekeepers in the space and your audiences may be elsewhere. It doesn't matter because even if the show is limited in viewership,
Mm-hmm.
um, at the moment, as we sort of grow our subscriber, excuse me, our user base, you know, you have the ability to distribute and sort of either broadcast, simulcast live, or push out in on demand format these sorts of shows to your audiences wherever they live. And, you know,
Or the
for me,
non-Apple users as
yeah. And so you also mentioned that. I just wanted to say, like, obviously, we're, you know, going to be accommodating the platforms that are not iOS, you know, Android and everything. And we have you know, a desktop product. So if somebody wants to come, if you want to share the show right now with your audience, wherever they may be, or even, you know, here after the show, they can come and watch it. And it's not, there's no download requirement. It's sort of a web-based thing. They can see your audience participating with you. And again, that will accrue over time. But anyway, I just was wanting to sort of give you guys some props because what you're talking about is hugely interesting, not just to me, but I'm sure to your audiences. And I think that you get it. You get that Fireside is a way for you to really sort of aggregate disparate audiences wherever they live. And over time, not right now, but over time, they will, come and coalesce into Fireside. And that'll allow you to really own that relationship with them so that you feel comfortable, using your voice and your credibility and anything else that you're offering them. And so I just literally wanted to say hi. I mean,
Well, hello.
I don't want to. I don't want to make this about Fireside. This is not about Fireside.
Well,
although
hey,
you
you know
guys
what,
were
Scott?
talking about that.
You're welcome to talk about it because I actually I'm a huge fan of Stephanie McGann Jansen. I think she's fantastic. She's great on camera, great voice, everything. And I've tried to attend every creator show that she's put out. And I actually had a chance last night to attend the one that she did last night. We all know that she was busy with the jury and all that. And last night was the first time that I've seen her in a long time where she was relaxed and back to her, fun self. And she's so good at explaining that this is a young application. It's still new. It's still being developed. There's glitches. Things are, I've been part of some glitches where I was like, oh my God, I'm going to smash my iPad. I can't take it anymore.
I know we did a show where it was like, it's so glitchy. It was one of the funniest shows we ever did. And it's me trying to figure out the direction of the camera. And
Yeah, and we have a strategy and a roadmap specific to making and offering more functionality and making this more sort of participatory and engaging and just satisfying. I don't want to make this about Fireside. I want to make it about you guys. I just wanted to say we really appreciate creators and partners like yourselves who understand that like there is an evolution there and who also understand that it's if you have the ability to push content, valuable and interesting content out wherever your audiences live outside of Fireside, we give you that functionality and we try to make it as easy as possible. What we're trying to do is to enable you guys to create the media companies of the future. That's really what it's about. It's a democratization of content on behalf of our content creator partners. And I honestly don't want to make this about Fireside. I just wanted to give you guys some props and say, I'm really enjoying it.
So you're not feeling like you're talking about Fireside. Let's just say the industry, because I've been a part of several beginning apps. I got invited to a couple different competitors and verified right when I walked in. And what I like about the format so far, when you go to make your show, you can do a trailer. That's different from everybody else. The second part, it has limited categories. So the amount of, excuse my language, but bullshit,
yeah, totally.
People just coming on just to talk to each other, it kind of cuts them out because they have to coordinate and make material like, okay, we're doing a how-to or, a performance live event. So the potential is there, but if, Fireside or whoever can figure out, because let's face it, meta is coming to everybody. And I'm involved in research about meta because where people are going to be going to VR, the VR experience is in its infancy for podcasters and vloggers, because they're making cafes, they're making NFTs. And so what you just said about the industry of tomorrow, and let's face it, working for a corporate job is not going to cut it anymore. Your creativity is going to guarantee your longevity and your thriving. So, there's a lot I could say, but I've only been into this. I've been a member of Fireside for maybe a month, but I barely dipped my toes in it, and I've been sampling every day so I could see. I'll tell you, there's not a lot of activity in the morning. There's not. The critique is you have a lot of famous faces that haven't done shows in months. Tell your supervisor that's a turnoff. You have Bob Saget as one of your premieres and he's dead.
Well, with all due, I mean, obviously, with all due
Wow.
respect, he was a big fan and friend of Fireside, and
Yeah.
Right.
I totally hear you there. But I'm again, I don't want to
But
direct.
it's just from an outside perspective, like you want currency into your creators. Like, yeah, you could keep him as a reminder, like as a, hey, one of our past stars or something like that. You can do that, but keeping the fluidity of brand new content creators who are
100%.
attracted to the market.
Yeah.
Because if you have Mark Cuban doing a show back in March and hasn't done one, and he's a busy guy, granted, then it's his baby, it's that's his thing. But at the same time, that making the digital imprint so that you want more people to invest,
Mm-hmm.
that's the ROI. Because if you don't have that ROI, when you're doing an SEO for which platform should I go to? Should I go to Fireside? Should I go to Wisdom? I mean, I use StreamYard, or I know I excuse me, Restream for my YouTube purposes,
Mm-hmm.
because I can multicast and multi-stream to 32 video content, but so many different RTMPs, which make that's podcasters' bread and butter. So
Yeah.
I know you guys are working, that's granted, but the encouragement that I would have is technology works only as good as your developers are putting in time, and it takes time to write code. It takes a lot of time to make digital format. And I live in California. I'm close to the Bay Area, and I talk to guys who are on the front lines of creating your new pathways, your new tech. And what they'll tell you is we are going out to listen amongst you. So they're in your audience, and that's where, if Fireside could really expose not just furthermore, but hey, you created a listen free without really joining, then you're
Mm-hmm.
going to bring in more talent, more visibility. Because I've had people, I
You
did
first,
one. Go ahead.
you absolutely. I'm sorry, you absolutely nailed it, and we totally understand that. Stay tuned. Without making this
Yeah,
again about Fireside, but everything that you're saying is really right.
it's
We
just
just
the industry. That's all it is.
totally, and
Yeah,
we just want our users to know that we are listening to you. It's the same sort of participatory, identity that the content's all about. I mean, we appreciate like what some of the points you just said are so spot on, and we understand that, and just sitting back kind of from afar, although now I'm on stage and I just wanted to kind of give you
No,
guys
Right, just
like
let
you
loose.
guys.
Hey, you're having a glass of water, or a bottle of beer. Either way, you're voicing
Yeah,
your creativity. This kind of discussion right now is very fertile. You can
mhm.
grow so much from this because it's perspectives.
It's
Each one of
hugely
us has an
helpful.
expertise.
yeah.
It's
yeah,
hugely
and the thing
helpful, and
for
I just
me,
want you guys to know we totally appreciate it. And this is an iterative, relationship between us and even our adopters. And you guys are early adopters, but this is going to coalesce, and you guys are really helping lay the foundation for that. And I just wanted to thank you.
yeah, thanks, Scott.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. I mean, the thing for me for this is I'm one of those schizophrenic users because I have multiple personalities and the angles that I take at this. I am a I'm a professional comedian, but I'm also a professional podcast producer, and
Mhm.
I distribute live my own show on Boxcast, which is a live stream platform. So
Yep.
when I come on these platforms, well, the reason why I say I'm schizophrenic is I'm one of those guys that may not have a show or a format or any kind of like thing. I just come and just spit what's in my head because I want to get
Mhm.
familiar with the platform, and I'm kind of using my improvisational comedic wit to just sit in the driver's seat and take it for a spin. But then
Yeah.
tomorrow I could come back with Frankie J and do a professionally formatted show where it's actually, something that is going to be content that is outlined, or we're doing a nightcap about a professional show that we streamed, which creates this type of show and this type of stimulating conversation between
Mhm.
creators that
Yeah.
organically and realistically want to see all of this level up to where we can level up with it, and to be a part of
Mhm.
that process is something that's very exciting. So for
We
me to
we
be
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, for me to kind of be schizophrenic in that way, where I can, you know, just throw spaghetti on the wall and be a part
I
of
love
the
that.
beta test, but then come back and use what I know on the platform to be, as professional as Jason and Frankie, is what excites me about this program, the industry, and the level of beta that's going on right now. And I am in the VR world, and I do the meta, and I'm looking at opening a podcast in there, a drive-in movie theater in there, um, a stand-up comedy show in there. So
Hmm.
I'm a sponge of it all, and I want to see the integration happen between everything that I'm doing, from
Yeah,
my Facebook or whatever. Go ahead.
and you guys nailed that. I mean, you can see and sort of foresee the experience in VR of Fireside, and obviously the potential therein. But yeah, I mean that's absolutely right. And for us, like this sort of feedback and just interaction with our creator partners, you guys, not us, you guys, is invaluable, and it's stuff that we take very seriously, and it's really um, helpful and sort of conducive to us including you in the development of the platform that ultimately is the most optimal for you. And so again, totally enjoying the conversation.
Well, I want to
I'm
plant this
happy to
seed.
participate. Happy to participate. But I don't want to derail anything. I was
Yeah.
just wanting to give you guys some accolades and props and thanks and respect
Oh,
for what you're doing in terms of understanding what we're trying to build for you.
yeah.
Right. I just want to plant this seed,
Oh, go
Scott.
ahead.
Think about this. Okay, so TikTok is at its all-time peak popularity, just like
Mhm.
Snapchat was. So what you guys are doing, you guys are pioneers in certain respects, and this is very scary because the global impact in industry and business and what this does. I work in agriculture, and I work legal, and I can tell you right now, I deal with foreign investors in crops. But what I also cross pollinate is the technology, the audio and video platforms combined. And if Fireside plays its cards right, I don't want to say it can surpass TikTok, but it would get the style of attention because let's face it, the average attention span is 5.6 seconds on every average user.
Mhm.
5.6 seconds. So that means you have to pitch in 2 seconds and connect
Mhm.
visually. So what this does, because people are steering away from television and cable, they don't want to see bad scripted Bad Boys Part 27 or
Mhm.
Fast and Furious 30. They don't want to hear regurgitated content. So the attention is like, I'm looking for something of real with that's not so scripted. And
Ugh.
that's why like Apple TV has now jumped into the biz with what Netflix is doing.
Mhm.
And what you guys are doing with Fireside is an antithesis basically on that because our entertainment and how we digitally touch each other. We saw what COVID did. People got stuck in their house. They
Mhm.
talked more on Clubhouse in these social audio apps than they did on the telephone. And that's crazy.
I
So
did a 36-hour clubhouse where I was like literally like, phone on my bed is like, hey, yeah, yeah, you got a point there. You know, and I can relate because, you know, when people got locked in their houses, but they still wanted to reach out and connect, people were bearing their souls in those early days of
yeah, they
Clubhouse.
were. Yeah, they were.
I mean, bearing. I did a room. It was who do you need to forgive? It went for 12 hours, and people were crying, and they were calling up people and forgiving people that they had grudges against for 30 years.
Oh my God, that's
Did you
Live on
see
the
how
And
show.
Facebook took a first and second quarter loss in 2020? People weren't paying attention to Facebook. They weren't
yeah,
connecting there.
you can't connect because there's no connectivity. It's a one-way street.
exactly.
And the second that Clubhouse came and created a two-way street,
Yep.
that's when the whole thing changed. The tectonic plates shifted,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Literally.
entire world all of a sudden was like, wait a minute, I am I'm hyper cabin fever. because of this pandemic.
And this is an
And
interesting
and,
time because we need to
and,
document this journey right
and here's
now.
the thing. You're married, you're married, you're married, you're married. You guys all had like COVID buddies to hunker down with.
Not
The
me.
single people out here
I'm
who didn't
single,
get the
buddy.
memo to hook up with the COVID buddy, I didn't really think about. I thought it would last long, but I didn't think the isolation was going to last so long. So
Yeah.
I because I'm smart enough to know that, okay, if there's a global pandemic, we're here for a few years. But I didn't think the isolation was going to last that long. So people who thought, oh, we could be in isolation for a long time, was on the phone like, hey, what you doing? You want to be my COVID buddy? Let's hunker down, and we'll be the only ones to interact with each other and ride this out. I didn't get that memo. So
Neither
along
did
with
I.
like hundreds of millions of other people didn't get that. And by the time we figured out that, wait a minute, the oxytocin that is released in our brains and our bodies is because we interact with people face to face. We were able to get that from Clubhouse. And that's why Clubhouse became so addictive,
And there's
because
still there's still people
yeah,
who on there 24/7.
yeah,
I
and
gotta jump in because this whole Clubhouse thing, I've been on Clubhouse, I think 3 times. I don't like it. For me, I want to see the face live that I'm talking to. 'Cause you
Amen.
can put up anyone's thumbnail, you know?
Right.
On here, you can see me, I can see you. To me, that's a more comfortable conversation. So Clubhouse, I really never cared for. But again, everyone's got different taste. I
No,
would
that's
rather
that's such a good point, and I totally agree with that. I mean,
yeah,
obviously, but even objectively, I really do agree with that. Now, granted, I didn't know I was necessary. I mean, I just, like I said, giving you props. I'm not professional like you guys. I'm sitting here with a bad background, probably bad lighting, kind of looking a little bloated and weird. You guys are all
You're a
professionals,
pro when you know how to talk.
and
Just
you
remember
guys,
that.
yeah, true. But that's exactly right. That to us was a huge part of the deficiency in that ecosystem and whatnot. This, I'm like, literally, like, where can we just go meet for beers? And like, I just want to hang and have this conversation in real life. Although this is second to that. It's just good. It's more of a connection. It's more participatory. It's more real than
Yeah.
like not. And for us, the last thing I'll say, and then I swear to God, boot me off this stage because I want to listen to you. But
Well, we got Joanne
Fires-
up, and she's actually part of the business too, and my career coach. So this is an awesome conversation. We
Yeah,
got
Joanne,
to keep
come
this
on
going.
up.
Joanne,
one more point, and then I'm literally on mute
Okay.
and boot me off the stage. I just wanted to say, you guys nailed this earlier when you said, with all the noise and the trolls and the bots and all that sort of stuff. For us, Fireside's about curation. Like, we want to create an environment where content is, vetted and extremely interesting and professionalized, and then more importantly, the people who come in, we work to put up guardrails so that stuff isn't really part of the mix, because when it's participatory, that's just noise and it ruins the
And
experience.
I'm so grateful for that. You have no idea. I went through
Yes.
battles on stereo. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
Yep.
when I went through the trolls but you know what? The blessing is going through those hard times curated me to be a better interviewer, to be a script writer, to be focused and not just shoot the shit. So when people, because if you if you got big like Joe Rogan or bigger, you know how many hecklers want to come in, and it's just like, you got to be tough as nails.
Yes.
And but see, while I was getting the hate, I made $2,000. And guess what that did? Bought me a Roadcaster, bought me a Mac Mini, bought me a screen. I took the money while all these fools are like, oh, I'm getting my check from stereo. I took that money and reinvested in the product. And here I am today. And it's like, it's the return on the investment,
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, there's that push sort of one-to-one, shorter form, or just kind of out one, unidirectional sort of thing. And that, we don't begrudge that at all. But I think that the opportunity for media to evolve into this sort of participatory exchange is what we're focusing on. So we're not trying.
And that's great, because that's going to have a bigger return in the long run. It
But
really
also
is.
too, when you go through those combat hours of fodder in Clubhouse, and then you find a Fireside, you appreciate, like, oh snap, you know, the now all of the things and the issues that and the frustrations that you were feeling in Clubhouse, all of a sudden a new platform pops up in the industry, and now your brain really starts connecting the dots on what you can do and what you really would like to do, and then you really get excited because being schizophrenic in the business. I'm a filmmaker, I'm a podcaster, I'm a stand-up comic, and all of this stuff integrates with everything that's going on in my head. Like, I want to do a fireside on my drive-in movie theater screen. It's
Mhm.
it's a 40-foot screen.
Mhm.
So, it's stuff like that that makes me go, wow, this is cool to be on the ground floor of where this is going, and then to, do a fireside with the interview of the director and writer that's going to be on the film you're about to watch in 10 minutes is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's how I'm thinking. So I already have a drive-in movie theater. I've been in the business for 12 years. So now this technology is catching up with my wish lists of what's going on in my brain of what's possible, and now it's here and it's in front of me, and I have fingertip access to it. So I literally can plug my HDMI cable into my HDMI coupler into my iPad out to my 4K projector, which goes up on my screen, and I could be interviewing Frankie J and Joanne.
Mhm.
Like Joanne's Sons was in 2012, so I can't wait to license 2012 from Swank to put that on my drive-in, so I can talk to Joanne and be like, "There's your boys. Your boys are on the screen, and walk us through how that happened." So now you can go through the process. So we went on the interviews, we got the callback, the boys had to go in, this and that, blah, blah. We
Read
talked
my
to the
book.
producer, director, all that stuff. And then bam, they were in the movie, and now they're grown men with beards. So,
Yep, they're
for me, that's super, super exciting, and to have a platform that allow, like, for me, Fireside is a dot connector, connects
yeah.
my podcast and my film industry with
Yes.
with what I want to do as an exhibitor for my outdoor drive-in movie theaters. And I'm launching one of the first drive-in podcast film fests where podcasters can submit and be up on the big screen.
Oh
And
God, that's
Oh,
fantastic.
that's amazing.
yeah,
That you
so
got to do it here.
Yeah, so Fireside is one of those dot connectors between
Yeah.
my podcast stand up world and my outdoor drive in movie exhibitor. But then I could have a red carpet of a writer, director, actor, and then do a fireside interview up on the screen and be like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to roll the film.
And over time, you will aggregate those relationships with your fans and audience, even if they're on other platforms. But again, you'll be able to really create your own media company, and
Yeah,
that is exactly the identity of Fireside.
I do have my own media company. Pod Brother
Yeah.
Nation is a media company. And
Yes. So
that's where we do our live streams. That's where Frankie J's show is on. I put my drive-in movie theater stuff on there, and I can go live at the pop-up through through my podcast and
yeah,
and
but if you
through
want to access your audiences through some of the other sort of platforms, and I'm not naming, but whether it's YouTube or Insta or
Yeah.
whatever, TikTok, Snap, I'm just saying those audiences are beholden to the gatekeepers that are the companies where those audiences live. And what we're trying to do is just empower you to have more of a direct relationship and ownership over those relationships that you have with your fans, and give you the ability to capture more of the value you're creating as a content creator, because it's hugely valuable and there doesn't need to be middlemen in that mix. I don't want to make this a thing about Fireside. I'm acknowledging the fact that you guys totally get it,
Yeah.
and it's amazing that you get it so early and so uh, comprehensively. It's fabulous. It really is.
well, if you want to take my email down and keep me in the loop with whatever you guys are doing, by all means, Stephen E. Kimbrough at
Absolutely.
Gmail.
Scott at firesidechat.com.
Mine's
I'll
on
get,
the fortune
I'll
cookie.
get you looped in. We would love to have you guys in the mix as we just evolve this product really on your behalf. And this has been literally fantastic.
Oh, it's
Awesome.
been great.
Well,
You know, it's weird because I'm that guy that says everything happens for a reason. And, you know, Ref and myself met, a couple months ago. Joanne and I met months and months ago. And she's been in the film industry with her sons, herself doing voiceovers. She wrote a book. And I've been working with her and then hooked up with Ref Kimbrough, and it's all sort of coming together now. So we're building a huge thing here. And I introduced Ref to Fireside, and I was invited to Fireside. And to me, I like this whole setup. I like the idea of being able to pick talk show or game show or whatever theme you want to do. I think the freedom of being able to pick whatever kind of style show you want to do is amazing, because a lot of these other, like the other social audio app that was mentioned earlier, you can't pick a sort of style. You just put the title and what the subject is, what you're talking about. And you can set the timer for an hour for conversations. And quite frankly, I don't want to sit around for 60 minutes and wait for somebody to talk to somebody when I have just a 30-second question. Whereas on here, you got more control. You can request to talk. You can leave the show. This is going to go places, above and beyond. And I think it's pretty cool that you did come up, because, we've all been kind of discussing these things and what can we use Fireside for? What's going to work for us right now? And Ref and I decided, why don't we use it for this? Why don't we do this with it?
yeah. I mean,
And
off the top of my head, that's what I was thinking. Like, Fireside would be a perfect nightcap of a show that we just live streamed.
yeah,
And to me, it just makes
Totally.
perfect sense.
And what I'm thinking is you guys sort of gave me the genesis of an idea that like we should have whatever, call it a weekly thing where creators and us at Fireside can engage just like this, because we want to listen to all of your feedback and all of your suggestions and intelligence as it relates to the evolution of these platforms and media, and we're building for you. So again, it just sort of germinated that in my head, so that will be happening.
Well,
And you
if you
guys,
need a host, I can host it for you.
okay, well, literally, I mean, this is exactly the type of feedback we want with our creators. I mean, again, this is a platform that is built for our creator partners, decentralized Web3 entity that you can leverage to build to continue to build your media businesses, even if you have existing media businesses. This is a acceleration, and it's additive. It's not cannibalistic at all, and this is literally fantastic. Like hearing the feedback from you guys.
Well, that's what
Hey
I love
guys,
about
I
that.
gotta I
That's
gotta
why I
run. You
call it.
guys have a great night.
Yeah.
I've got a deposition I got to prepare for tomorrow. So
oh
All
boy,
right. See you,
have fun with
Jason.
yeah,
that,
I'm an
Jason.
attorney, so I got I'm gonna be up until
Oh, I
probably
might
1.
need you soon. I'll give you a call when I
Thanks
find
It's
for-
you.
fine. My wife and mother-in-law just walked in from dinner, and started yelling because my mother-in-law doesn't hear very well, and I was like, I'm in the middle of something, whatever. But yes,
That's right.
you can bump me too, but I just
Yeah,
want to thank you.
I gotta
guys
go
again.
talk to you. Like,
Yeah.
Really
All
All right.
appreciate
Oh,
Thanks,
Scott,
Jason. See you
what is
guys.
your email while I have you? Because I'll shoot you an email with
Scott at firesidechat.com.
Oh, that's easy. Yeah, I've done a couple creative sessions with the girls at creators at firesidechat.com, info
Yep.
at Fireside. I've gotten in there a few times, and because if I'm going to do something, I want to know what I'm doing. and
Yeah,
how I'm
of
doing
course.
it.
Yeah.
So I'm on Ref Kimbrough's page. Joanne has lots of info too. Jason, who just took off, obviously he had a lot of info. So
Yeah, he was great.
This talk was definitely meant to happen. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously,
I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you guys. This is amazing.
yeah, we appreciate you coming
Yeah.
on too. Definitely.
So I'm gonna send you an email.
Sorry
Scott.
about the bad lighting, and I didn't.
Yeah,
I
no,
didn't
you look fine. You
prepare
look
and
great.
whatever.
You're
But
good.
Looks better than mine.
You're good. You're good.
yeah, thanks,
You're good.
guys. We'll be in
All right.
touch for sure.
Thanks,
All right.
Scott. It was
Thanks,
nice
Scott.
meeting you, sir.
Appreciate you.
Yep. Take care,
All right,
guys.
take care. Hi,
Sweet.
Joanne.
Hey,
Hey,
there.
Joanne.
You made it.
I made it. Oh God.
What a conversation, huh?
That was awesome.
Towards the end,
Can't really hear you.
kind of,
We have-
so since I was addicted to Clubhouse, but I'm not on it anymore.
Yeah. I went on there like 3 times. I'm like, I don't know. It was just, to me, it seemed like a Scientology church.
Well, it sort of does a lot of different things. I mean, I was involved in the politics ones. I was involved in the entertainment industry ones. I've met some people, still am friendly with them. I found it toxic in some areas.
Yeah.
Um, I I like seeing people. I am a social person. Hearing people was good too. It served its purpose, just like Zoom came out at the right time too when we were all in lockdown.
Hmm.
Uh,
Lockdown, 23-hour Pelican Bay.
I mean, I haven't been on it so in a while, and
Good.
I'm not. How do I put it? Maybe it was the groups, but there was a lot of toxicity in it, and
Yeah.
a lot of rooms were pretty poorly managed. I don't know how it is now. I'm sure it's different because Clubhouse was sort of going down once we started getting back to normal life. So,
Yeah. Well, it's all about
Well,
moderation,
there's
like,
been a great divide that's gone on too with it. Like the people who got it and figured out how to collaborate and build rooms with each other in order to monetize it through consultation, they grew up, they blew up, and then they created this whole kind of one percenters who can monetize Clubhouse in uh, their expertise in what they're doing, but they cannibalize off of each other because they've built it with each other, and then they moderate, and then they lock in their little moderator clique,
yeah, like
yeah.
uh,
Clubhouse.
and then that's it. And
That's it.
now they can recycle money amongst themselves. And then you have the people in the middle who are just surfing around looking for things to get into. And then you have the bottom feeders that are trolling and just creating chaos.
Yeah. Hey, I can make you $5,000 if you give me a
Yeah,
dollar.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's funny, right off the bat, I remember when you weren't able to monetize on Clubhouse, and then all of a sudden they launched that you could monetize and you could take money, and then all of a sudden it became, if you asked for money, you were, it was not cool, even if you had.
Instagram does that now.
Yes,
I
Instagram.
I got invited to an Instagram live from somebody I know, and I didn't even know I touched on it, and she said right away, she's like, make sure to get my Cash App ID and send me the $11.11. I'm like, I'm not paying for this. You invited me, and I got right off there. I'm like, have a good night, and then I stopped following her. I'm like, what is that? I thought, like,
Yeah,
what is going on here?
but here's the thing, here's the double-edged sword of that. These platforms are created for you to monetize, and um, the merchant companies and the cash app companies and the platforms recognize that people can use this to raise money for themselves and to sell their talent, their product, their services, their
Yeah.
ideas, their inspiration.
Well, a little
So
warning or an advertisement would have been
we're
nice.
stuck between the old school and the new school. The old
Yeah.
school of don't solicitate me anything for anywhere. And then the new school of you're making money on YouTube and on Patreon and on Cash App. And so this is the new economic harvest for your income. So these two worlds are clashing together. Now, in between these two worlds are the scam artists and the bottom feeders who see the legitimacy of what's going on with people with real content, real service, real advice, real consultation, who deserve that $11.11. And then you have the old school that's like, I remember getting scammed with PayPal back in 2001, so I'll never trust the internet ever again when it comes to. And those were the ones who got scammed with the emails and the Nigerian banks and all the the
The phone calls.
thousands of
Yeah.
the phone calls. So we're at that point now to where you got old school scammers and the new digital cash economics, and that's where we are right now. So, Frankie, I hate to tell you, you're in this side now.
I
So
know.
for you to give her shit about, I'm
Oh,
not paying for
I
your
didn't say it. I
11.99.
just
I know you
left right
didn't
away.
say it. I know you didn't say it, but
I just
in
said,
your heart of hearts, you
yeah,
were like, I'm not paying.
get the
Like,
hell
I'm
out of
out of
here.
here. And I was like, get the hell out of here. But what you fail to realize is you have crossed the line.
I've crossed
The
over to the
second
dark side
the,
because I want to
the
give
second you're
$11.11. Make it
the second
11.20. Make it
the,
even.
the second your $27.27 Frankie J baseball jersey went on sale, you now crossed.
But they're
You
they're getting something to hold. They can
you
touch it. They
yeah.
can wear it.
So now your old school mentality is what you have as a tangible. So
I
anything that is a non-tangible, you're not gonna is a bunch of bullshit.
Well, when I get
Uh,
an invite for a
yeah,
live, but I
yeah,
have to
yeah.
pay to get on
Guess
the
what,
invite,
Frankie
that's
J.
weird.
Guess what? Guess what? The people who now pay and contribute to your show because you make them laugh, which is an intangible,
Yeah, but
now
that's
puts
okay.
you on the intangible side.
I'm not inviting people and saying,
Yes,
I'll
you
tell you,
are.
I got
Yes,
a
you
good
are.
story.
You're
Years and
inviting
years.
people to come to the Frankie J show
But
to
I'm
have
not
the Frankie
charging.
J experience, and that experience is going to come with some ching,
Yeah.
and some of it might be a tangible where you get a baseball shirt, and others going to be intangible where I made you laugh. I allowed you to release some oxytocin in your brain, which made you feel good. I made you laugh. I allowed you to release some pitocin, which is a chemical in your brain that makes you anticipate the next thing that's going to happen on the Frankie J
You got
experience.
some big
Uh,
words, man.
I also like gave you some stimulating conversation, and I allowed you to release some adrenaline in your body because I made you think about something that really jolted your system.
So that's worth
And
$11. You're right. Okay.
so all of those chemical releases that came, which are intangible, people are going to be like, what's Frankie J's Cash App again? Oh, he doesn't have one. That's okay. We'll send it to Ref Kimbrough's Cash App because he understands intangible, online digital economics.
All right, Joanne, what do you got? You're in the middle.
The middle. I have nothing. I'm just listening. You know, uh,
So hilarious.
going to get to Web3 because I am actually reading a very interesting book called The Token Economy. And I'm not quite sure where you get the Web3 on this because Web3 really is all about decentralizing things. I don't know how it will work. I'm still learning. I'm reading about it only because I am into blockchain technology. I'm into Bitcoin. And I guess I'm listening to this. I came at the end. Of course, when I hear the word clubhouse, because I hate to say it, I was a clubhouse addict. Ask my son.
So we got the intervention done just in time. Sweet.
Intervention done just in time. Because it was really funny because when I had dinner with my son last night, I said, come on, Phil. Don't you see? Because he would get notified every time I went on stage. And he's like, Mother, you are addicted. And so I looked at him last night and I said, so guess what? Have you seen me on Clubhouse? And he's like, no, you're right, Mom. What's your next addiction? Um,
Well, there's
so
this guy, Frankie J, who's really awesome.
yes, so it's sort of, it's strange. I think based on my generation, um, it I think it's really strange what's happening. I think technology is. I mean, that one I was with last night, he's so totally into virtual reality. He had gotten the first one ever, um, and we're just going to be overtaken by all of this. It's just it amazes me. But I
Yeah.
still don't see the connection to Web3 yet, because Web3 is really going to be in, NFTs. It's going to eventually really affect the financial industry because of blockchain. We're going to be able to really do, real transactions that nobody can touch. So it's interesting. I find it interesting. And There's my husband. He's coming up the steps.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, we were gonna get ready to wrap up here, anyways. So,
So that was what I have to say. I'm confused.
oh,
Well, I
I'll
mean,
leave that
that's,
one alone.
but the exciting thing about what you just said is um, the folks who have not been able to participate in economic development is why this is taking off and is why it's so exciting, and which is why people are so curious about it, because the traditional financial institutions have been stacked so against people who haven't been able to touch money and will never be able to touch money because it's set up that way, uh, is why Bitcoin and blockchains have such a strong interest right now. Because I give you a perfect example. You have no money, and you have an auto pay for $9.27 hit your account, and the banks hit you with an NSF charge of $35. So they're charging you for being broke. They're charging you for having no money. They see you have no money, and they charge you an NSF charge for not having the money to cover the money that's not, instead of just denying the charge and being like, oh, you don't have the money in here to cover it, and just leave it at that. They
Yeah.
gotta charge you for not having the money to cover that. And so when you have enough people in the world that's like, wait a minute, that's not fair, that's not cool, there's got to be another way for economics to flow back and forth without the penalties of of a greedy person who just wants to take advantage of that situation. And don't get me wrong, I'm a capitalist. Any way that you can make a lot of money, I am down for. But at the same time, I don't feel good with taking money from somebody who doesn't have money and charging you for money you don't have simply because I can. And that's the financial institutions with especially with the hedgings. You know, I don't think it's fair that people with a lot of money set up a situation for you to fail financially. Now they know this, but then they come back and they hedge an insurance policy against your failure, and they make twice the money.
I mean,
So
I agree with you on that. Keep going. I'm sorry. I just
yeah,
wanted to
no,
chime in.
no, but you know, it's like I'm all about capitalism. I'm all about making as much money as you possibly can. But the original design of capitalism to make it work was to make as much money as you can, but also redistribute it from the people you got the money from, so that the capitalistic swirl always has a chance to level other people up as well.
And well, but you see, here's the thing, baby. There's what's called money is the root of all evil. But what the real thing is, it's love of money is the root of all evil. And unfortunately, that's what we're living in. I mean, I agree with you, but I've had auto pay and I've never been charged on an auto pay. It just gets denied. Like if I have something like I take a lot of supplements, so I'll have them automatically. And if my credit card isn't right, they, I guess what it is I've never done auto pay on my bank account. I only do it on credit cards. So I've never heard it that way. You did an auto pay and the bank then charges you. That's like if you bounce a check, you know?
That's what exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm glad that I never did auto pay for my checking account.
Well, it's like
Well, it's the
the
thing. If
same.
you
Yeah.
have if you keep a certain balance, then they remove that. But let's say you got to keep a balance of $1,000 in your account every month, and then if a check hits or if you get insufficient fund, you don't get charged, but because you have a balance. But what if you check to check?
Right.
What if you're entrepreneur going invoice to invoice? I have been an entrepreneur my whole life. I've had fat years where I'm making hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I've had like 10 years where it's like, what the hell? I'm going out collecting cans and everywhere in between. So,
Call you
um,
Cambro.
yeah, so it's like if there was some sort of a stability, and no matter where you are, at least these institutional things aren't going to bite you. So if you're on your way down, they're not going to bite you. If you're in the middle, if you're at the bottom on your way up, they're not going to bite you. So you need to have some momentum to get to a place where you can have footing. To create a slippery slope when you're at the bottom, I don't think is cool. I don't think that's patriotic. I don't think it's American. I just think that's wrong. Like,
So that credit card I got that was for $500 to help rebuild my credit. They said I have a $500 limit, but when I got my card and opened up the thing, it says, well, you get charged $175 user fee for the year. So it wasn't $500. I started off with 300 and whatever because they took, however much out of the 500 as a charge fee that I immediately, lose. I get a $500 credit card, but I start off with only, $300, 325. I mean, have you ever heard of that?
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I,
I've heard of that. That like there are, and there used to be legislation and regulations against that, and somehow they came back. But there were a lot of like short lenders, payroll check lenders, a lot of like
Oh, yeah.
cash, cash, quick cash depots. They, I mean, some of the loans that they put out, and we're talking low money, short term loans,
Like
were
payday
like
loans.
payday loan, were like 500% interest, like you know, and there was no regulation against it. And then I think when Obama came in, he like hit all of those practices and basically just kind of wiped them out. But they came back. But what you're talking about was one of those short-term, low money
Mhm.
credit card scenarios that is completely and totally exploitive of your situation, because $500, let's face it, that's like $1 million to you if you're at the bottom on a slippery slope. And
Well,
then
yeah, I'm
to
trying to
take out
rebuild
another
credit.
100, take
Yeah.
out another 150 of it, it's just still, even $350 is still like a ton of money. Like when you're in the hourglass and you live in that moment, that's where you are. So you don't really care if you
Mhm.
have to pay $1,000 on that 350. You're going to take that $350
Right.
today, and you're going to buy a blanket and some food and a beer and try to feel like a human for 15 seconds, and
Yeah.
then deal with it afterwards. Whatever, you're going to deal with that afterwards.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize, a lot of people have never been in that situation where you are you're at the bottom of the food chain on a slippery slope, and you get someone exploits your situation and you go for it. A lot of people haven't experienced that. They don't know what that that is. And then when they say, well, it's capitalism, you're an adult, you made a responsible decision, you signed for it, you know it, you now pay it. It's like, well, yeah, but if you are living in the moment and you are trying to just
Get
like
by.
not even get by, just feel like a human being for 20 seconds.
Yeah, be able
You're
to
not
swipe a
you're
card and
not
be like,
you're
yeah,
not thinking about anything else, and you
nope,
don't
you're
really
right.
care. You
It's
don't
it's
really care.
psychological too. They get
Yeah.
you that way.
So and then when afterwards, when you're in it, you're in a completely different situation. Now you have to deal with that, but now you're in that moment. You're in that little neck of the hourglass, and you have to deal with the fact that the $350 is gone. They took 150. You now owe them $987 for the credit card, and they're coming at you and they want to take your blanket, and they want to take like
Hmm.
your boots, and like you got to deal with it when you're in that moment. So
Yeah.
it's moment to moment, and you don't really know how you would react until you're in that moment. But when you're in it long enough, and at some point you just want to have a recess, you know, a 20-minute, $350 recess is something that you will sign up for, and they know this, and that's how so many people get, so exploited. And it's not just those people. You have the middle class that's trying to keep that level of I'm doing okay. So they will go into some serious debt to keep the amenities that they have
Yeah.
so that everyone can be like, oh, they're okay, they're doing well, but really you're not doing as well as they think you are because they see the stuff. They see the house and the cars and the snowmobiles and the motorcycles and all that stuff, and all you're fine, but you could be leveraging hundreds of thousands of dollars of debts. And then in that debt is when they're compounding the interest on top of you. So now you're paying triple interest just to maintain that
Yep.
you're doing okay when really you're not. And they know that too, because a lot
Yep.
of people have a lot of pride. When you have a lot of pride to keep a certain level of lifestyle, you'll pay whatever. You go into much debt as you need to go into because your pride is sending you into that debt because you're trying to maintain a level.
Not smart.
Yeah. So, you know, you could be at the bottom on the slippery slope. You could be middle class trying to maintain. You could be a gazillionaire, trying to hang on to like $100 million. Like it doesn't really matter. It's just that I think there needs to be some system in place that gives people a sense of fairness with how
Oh, sorry.
economics with how economics is distributed so that we aren't so desperate. And I think blockchain is one of those things that make people go, maybe this could be the thing that allows the distribution of economics to be a little more sane, a little more fair, a little more, you know,
It's not, or you can't be as, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm losing the word. It really a transaction is a transaction. It doesn't, it really ties things together. And I mean, you're right. And maybe that will help us because the technology is incredible. But again, I have my own negative,
You know
don't
what I found out the other day? For some reason, I don't know why, but I got a commercial on my Facebook and it was for an RV place. And I sent my information because I was inquiring about a pop up camper just to see. And they called me and I was talking to them. I said to them, I said, so if I come in there with X amount of dollars that, the cost of this camper, if I come in with the $15,000 this camper costs, I can just buy it with cash. He said, no, you can't do that. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, you have to finance it. I go, well, what do you mean? I'm like, if I come in with $15,000 in cash on my bank card or whatever, cash, green money, I can't just buy it for the price tag that's on it. And he goes, no, we have to finance it. I go, but if my credit's not good, I'm not going to get approved to finance. Why would I, if I have the cash, why can't I buy it? I was at first I thought he was joking, but he wasn't. So I hung up. I said, okay, well, I'm not buying a camper from you. I mean, I thought if I got like $1 million, I could draw 30 grand out of the bank and go buy a vehicle, but apparently you can't.
that's because on a $15,000 camper, they can finance and put another 10,000 on top in interest.
That's right. They're going to
But
make
what if I don't get, the approval for the credit anyways, they're not going to make any money. So why wouldn't they just take the 15?
because they're looking to make their money and they're not going to make as much.
They're not going to make money. They might make $1,000 on that sale.
But I just found it weird. Like if I'm a high roller and I walk into a car dealership and I'm like, I want that 2500 GMC diesel, blah, 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 and I got the cash in my pocket and the wad's this big, and they turn me away because I don't want to finance. I mean, that I find that bizarre, but I understand the money and the economics behind it. But I just, you would think that they would want a cash deal once in a while just to sell it, right? I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, again, like some businesses, it's about the financial hook. How can they hook you for more money? How can they they trap you? How can they incarcerate you into a deal where you're going to fight tooth and nail and give up your firstborn to to appease their economic ecosystem? So everybody has their own way of doing things, and sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's not. It's up to each of us to do our own due diligence to figure out that works for me, that doesn't. Now, here's the thing, and we've all been here. How many times have you made a purchase and you didn't care what it cost because of the dopamine that's in your brain that's released that gives you the feel good of what it feels like to have it? And that chemical release in your body makes you cancel out what the price is.
Oh, I did that many times.
Yeah. So people who do deals, they know this and they work that into the equation.
I don't know why you're triggering me to say this. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit off topic, but it just reminds me of all these motivational speakers and a lot of them were on Clubhouse, that are charging you thousands and thousands. Remember, and I got hoodwinked of dollars. And what they're banging on is exactly what you're saying. They're banging on getting to somebody to say, "I'm going to make you better. I'm going to do this for you." But wait, you got to pay me $5,000. Oh, that means you don't want to pay me the $5,000. Oh, well, you know what? Maybe I'll charge you $3,000. And it is that whole way of feeling like, oh my God, they're making me feel good, so I'm going to spend money. Where what are they really giving me?
They're giving you literature and paperwork. It's like a seminar. Oh, if it's like those Ponzi pyramid scams. Like back in the day, they want you to sign up. They want to sell you something, and then they want referrals, and they want you to sell it, and then you ask them how much money you're making. They never answer you because they're not making anything. I mean, I fell for those, but now I'm like, now I'm like, I got the ninja kung fu grip on my money. Oh yeah, yeah. I couldn't believe where the hell was I when I had cash and I went to a place where they wouldn't take cash. Oh, I went to get a rental car to go to North Carolina last July, and I wanted to pay cash for the rental car, and they said no, you got to have a credit card. And I'm like, well, I got a credit card, but it's only for $500, and it was like 520 something. I'm like, okay, well, take the card and I'll pay the rest in cash. And I'm like, and they wouldn't do it. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not renting the car. But then all of a sudden, well, let me see if I can. And he typed it up. He's like, how does 46 down? I'm like, why couldn't you have just done that to start? Yeah, so I'm in that old school mindset where cash is king, but it's not anymore. And I'm starting to slowly learn that. And it's uncomfortable for me because I
Well,
feel like if I have cash in my hand, that's cash in my hand.
yeah, but that's because there is a there's a black market cash currency exchange that has been used to um, to do illegal things through legitimate businesses and outlets. So
Laundering.
you
Yeah.
you have you have to understand that a lot. It was beautiful back in the day where you could go to just about any business, including a rental business, and be like, plop cash down,
Yep.
take a copy of my driver's license. And we trusted each other and it was good. And somewhere in the 80s and the 90s, with the explosion of cocaine and drugs and violence and gangs, and all of a sudden people were having chunks of cash going in and renting like houses and hotels and boats and cars, and all of a sudden that that thing is involved in some major drug sting. They'd be like, you know what, maybe we should we got to figure out how we can do business with people we know may not be involved in this stuff. And most of those people don't have credit cards because they can't have a paper trail. So so people who have credit cards, it's almost like you're instantly vetted by Visa. So it's like, okay, we know you're not, going to do any kind of black market transaction with our vehicle or our hotel or our
Right.
house or our boat because you got a paper trail, your driver's license attached to with an insurance and an address, and that goes to a place that where you employ. Like, okay, this person is legit, so we don't have to worry that our vehicle is going to be involved in anything else. And then all of a
Versus the
sudden,
guy who pays cash and leaves a copy
Frankie
of his
J comes
license.
in there. Frankie J comes in there with a wad full of cash with the crazy eye,
Yeah.
and they give you
wiping white off my nose.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I want to rent
Goddamn
a vehicle here, man. I need it for I gotta take some toilet paper over to the nursing home, and I gotta. They be like, you know what? We need a credit card.
Do you have a cosigner?
You got a
I gotta have a cosigner to buy a pack of Twizzlers,
we
man.
need your social security card. We need your thumbprint. We got to run a background check.
We'll let you know in 3 days if you can leave tomorrow.
We'll take your cash if your background check comes with greens.
Oh my god!
If you got green dots across, we'll take your cash. If not, we need a credit card.
That's awesome. You know, I'll have to learn it apparently. But yeah, I was throwing curveballs. I'm like, you know, I got this wad of cash, you know. I was like, you know, rubber band. I felt like I was on The Sopranos, and when I go to pay for my rental car,
but like, that's the thing. You are Frankie J. You are a fanatical Sopranos fan. So of course, when you walk into a place with a wad of cash, you're gonna walk in.
And it's funny because when
with
I went
that
to rent
Soprano
the car,
swag,
I don't know what
like, hey, not for nothing, but I need to rent a vehicle from you with no questions asked.
It's funny because when I went to get that rental car, the girl that played Meadow Soprano, the daughter, she was in front of me in line with her husband, who was a professional baseball player, son of Lenny Dykstra. And they were in line ahead of me picking up their rental car at the Buffalo airport to drive to Cooperstown to the Baseball Hall of Fame. And it was funny because I'm standing in line behind her with this wad of rubber band cash ready to buy my rental car. And, you know, she's ahead of me in line. It was just funny that I mentioned The Sopranos.
You couldn't fold it in half and put a nice like stockbroker money clip on it. You got to roll it up, put in the rubber band,
money clip
like a Soprano, and then you're like,
fat.
"Hey, she wouldn't rent me a car over here. What's going on?"
It was all big bills. I mean, none of them had any, you know, appearance of residue. You know, it was right from the credit. I mean, it was cash. It was good cash. It was clean. But you know, I put it in the washing machine for a little bit. But yeah, I was just thrown off. I always thought laundering money was actually laundering money. And you know what? I was watching I was watching an episode of Drugs Inc. the other night, and they were actually they iron the money now. The drug dealers, when they get paid in cash, they'll take that money and put it on an ironing board and iron it to make it crispy and clean, because it gets all rid of everything.
Well, the crackheads crunkle it up and they put it in like their shoe so they don't get robbed. So, you know, it's like you're dealing with like crackhead money, and it's all crinkled up and dirty and gnarly and schmutzy. I mean, that's like, you know, once I saw when I was in Times Square, like out pushing my comedy club, when I saw a crackhead pulling money out of his pants, when he went like deep under the chassis and was like, and pulled out a crinkle water, like it was like, I'm like, you got a credit card? Because I ain't touching them bills. Look, bro, you could have a ticket for free. Take that money and just get you some alcohol, something.
Yeah, do something with that.
Take a swig and then, you know, just look, and you know, because
that used to be the thing. People would keep cash in their socks too. I remember that.
Socks, underwear, shoes,
and they would be all like kind of sweaty and nasty.
It just be like, oh man, it's just, you know, and you know, it's just like, you know, people. There was a big barrage in the '90s, purse snatches, and people getting robbed. So it was normal to tuck your money under your goods, into your hoot, into your taint. You know, it was a lot of taint money in the '90s.
Taint taking it.
Taint taking my money, because my money next to my taint.
Yeah.
But
it's in the middle.
Anyway, I digress. I am sorry for that behavior, Joanne. Sometimes I I have a flashback of the gritty, dirty 80s and 90s.
I wish I would have been around.
The gritty, dirty 80s and 90s. And I lived on 18th and Park Avenue South, and I used to skate at Skyrink in the 80s. I don't know if you, I know you've mentioned you lived in Manhattan. That was 33rd between 9th and 10th. And in the early 1980s, if you remember it well, you'll be knowing what was in that area on 9th Avenue in those days. So I kind of Manhattan. So it was,
Well, it was a lot
Yeah,
of cocaine. That's where the
yeah,
money was.
it was,
yeah. It's crazy.
I mean, Sex in the City. You don't think those chicks were blowing lines? Come on.
well, yeah, but it wasn't just the cocaine. It was the prostitutes. It was the drugs.
Oh yeah, no.
I
It
was
was
my mother let me live in a non-doorman building, and I'm just a little girl from little white girl from Long Island, and it was dangerous.
yeah.
Especially in the late '70s and the early '80s. That's why I remember shoving. Not only would I shove the money in my sock, but I put it in my sock under my feet, so
Yeah.
that you know.
Well, that
Yeah.
was uncomfortable if you had change wrapped in the dollar bills.
But we used to always would even separate your credit cards from. It's amazing. You're reminding me, Mr. Kimbrough.
I'm just saying. I've lived through a few things.
And we're still here to
uh,
talk
I,
about it.
I'm long in the tooth, man. I've been around.
Why can't you breathe? I got allergies. It's just one side, man. I know. I slept on my left.
Oh,
Oh,
Joanne, we have to have you on the show. We have to have
yeah.
you come on and
I'm,
and
I'm, I'm game. Oh, it's also though it's my bedtime.
What? What is that?
well, no, 8 o'clock. That's still early for you, right?
8 o'clock is good. 8 o'clock is
Okay.
good.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
8 o'clock. We'll
all
put you
right.
on the schedule. We'll put you on the agenda. I'll
Yeah.
reach out to you tomorrow.
Brilliant. I want to know where you've gotten your education from, Steve, because you've.
These streets, baby. I'm out in these streets. No,
Living in the hood.
I went to
Crazy eye.
IU.
Let's see if I can do it. Ready? Let's see. Watch my right eye. I can control my right eye. Let me move in.
Wait. I got to make this bigger. You can make. Wait. There we go. Okay.
Oh wow, that's a Marty Feldman right there.
Did you see it?
I did, yeah.
Yep. I freak
Yep.
people out. I can
Frankie
control
J,
it.
used cars. Every time his eye moves, you get 10% off.
Get the crazy eye deal now.
The crazy
Sunday.
eye Frankie J deal. Every time his eye
Now,
moves, 10% off.
now it's on video. My crazy eye. You know how many people I freaked out with that? I'll never forget one time I was at my job and someone was yapping at me and I was looking at him and listening and my eye rolled out and he kind of stood back. I'm like, what's up? He goes, what'd you just do with your eye? I'm like, I don't have control over that, man. I don't have control over a lot of things, man.
No, you should have said what eye.
Which one are you talking about?
You should have said, what are you talking about? My eyes are fine.
Like, you want to know how that happened? I wish the person was here to tell you.
Like, no, your eye. It went like this, like, no, it didn't.
Oh, it's really bad when I lay back. I can feel it going bloop. And I'm like, bloop.
But
Hey.
yeah, no, I went to Indiana University at South Bend, and I also was a coach. I was a high school diving coach, and I also was a college diving coach. So I got a lot of experience with a lot of people. But you know, I guess my PhD is in world travel with my stand up comedy, and just learning those lessons and dealing with people in and out of the industry that were amazing and brilliant, but also dark and toxic. So when you live in worlds for decades that has the juxtaposition of both of those people side by side, you learn a lot.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm self-taught myself.
No, absolutely. I mean, definitely. Ooh, but diving, that's fun. I used to dive, but not. I could do a jackknife and a flare, but not anymore.
Oh, I would go to the pool and I'm scared of heights, so I'd go on the really low diving board, and I wouldn't even spring. I would just run and just do a cannonball. And other people doing flips, and I couldn't.
Yeah, no, I was a competitor. I actually qualified to try out for the Olympics. So
Come on now. You got video of
yeah,
that?
uh, I have some video, but not of that. I have photos of that. I have photos of me qualifying for the very meet at the International Swim. Can you still hear me? Because my headphones are saying that.
Yeah.
Oh, you still okay? So I have photographs of me uh, actually diving at the nationals to qualify for the Olympics, and it's just some stills pictures of me, but no video. But if you go
That's
to
really cool.
podbrother.com, you'll
Yeah.
see a commercial that I did with Nordic Track where I'm actually
Huh.
diving off of the 3 meter board.
Oh
So,
wow. Cool.
and I did that. I made that commercial when I was 57 years old.
That's so
So,
cool. I'm
Wait.
definitely gonna take a look at it after I wake up tomorrow. I don't even know what my schedule is tomorrow. Oh, I don't have anything. Oh no, I do. I see writing on the calendar. Womp, womp, womp. So
all right. Well, I'm gonna take off,
yeah,
guys. It was
we're gonna shut it down. Joanne, thanks for showing up. Scott, if you're still there, thanks for coming on. It was awesome.
Love it.
Yeah, meeting with one of the fireside employees
that was cool.
that
Scott
was
was
real
cool.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
Yeah,
I'll have to
gave
do the replay because I want to hear what
yeah,
what you guys are really
you'll
talking.
you'll learn a lot. Jason came on and he dropped some real good nuggets.
yeah. Jason and
And
then
then
Scott.
Scott came up, and he gave some fireside insight, which was awesome.
Yeah,
And
and we're gonna be part of the collaborative group of Fireside, the you know the leveler uppers.
well, it's cool that we're being watched by people who want to learn from us as content creators. So
Yeah,
that was real kudos to you, Frankie J, and having this show, to have them to have you be on their radar to where whenever you pop up, they want to have the developers tap in to see how they can learn from you as a creator. That's
hmm.
kudos on you, bro.
Yeah.
Really,
I didn't
really
even think of that. I just come on
amazing.
and do my thing.
Yeah,
I'm authentic, genuine, tell the truth, nothing to hide. This is it. Here I am.
yeah.
Yep.
And do you like how I threw you under the bus today at the show when I was like, Frankie J is going to buy you the first, you're going to get
Yeah.
the first jersey. And he's like, well,
Yeah.
I'm buying my own shirt for this, Mama Luke. What's going on over here?
Yeah, we're setting up merchandise, and the first product is a baseball style jersey with Frankie J Experience and all that. It's
I love.
it's at the penaltygame.com. You can check it out. I'll send you the link.
Send me the.
And he told Jason Hill I'm gonna send him a free one.
The very first one.
Yeah, I asked him what size he wants. He said extra large, so I gotta
Yeah.
send it now.
So I threw him under the bus. He
Yeah, it's
now has to
okay.
buy Jason a shirt,
Yeah, I
which is
just gotta
cool.
go.
He deserves it. He
Yeah,
deserves it. He
oh,
did a great
definitely.
job.
I just got to go buy a prepaid credit card because they can't pay cash. Hopefully, they
That's
take the
right.
prepaid.
That's what's funny is because Frankie J wants to pay cash, but he can't, so he's got to get a
Where
prepaid
the hell
card
is my baseball jersey? Well,
to buy
he
the
doesn't
shirt.
have a credit card. He only has cash. He'll drive it down. He'll see in a little while.
He's got to get a prepaid to buy Jason the
Man,
first baseball jersey.
unbelievable. So stupid. But it's been a blast, and like I said, Joanne, yeah, the three of us should definitely back channel and collaborate on doing a show. I think it would be really fun. It's been really cool, and our show earlier was really good. I learned a lot from it actually. Ref and I talked after, and he made me understand a bunch of things, and it was great, educational.
See
And then
that.
we jumped on here, and just so lucky to Scott popped on and Jason, and we had a really good conversation. It lasted
Yep.
almost 2 hours versus what was planned to be 40 minutes. So it goes to show you, you never know who's listening, right?
That's right.
I've been
Yeah.
saying that for forever. So,
Yep.
but yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. I got to get some sleep, and
Me too.
I took a ride to Rochester and back today. Helped my friend pick up a Harley, and in a U-Haul.
My next favorite city.
Yeah, Spencerport Road, Lyle Ave, right there in that area. It
Yeah.
was about 5 minutes from the Nick Tahoe's place where you get garbage plates, and he didn't want to go. He wanted to get home with his bike. I'm like, dude, I want to go get a garbage plate, man. He's like, well, can we do it next time? I'm like, when are you gonna buy a Harley next time? When's that happening? So I
Hey,
went home.
hey, Joanne, I'm coming to New York on Saturday, and I'll be out there for about 10 days. So I'm gonna figure out when I can come and see you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That would be great. Or I can be in the city. So, it's easy.
Yeah, cool, cool,
Yeah.
cool.
It's a
Excellent.
coffee date.
It's a coffee day.
You gotta live stream it.
We will. We'll
All
live
right.
stream some coffee talk in Midtown in Times Square, where
Yeah.
there used to be like some seedy underground vices go down, and here we are like Disney Times Square having a coffee. Like right here was a homicide in 1987. I was here. I actually took a picture in the chalk line.
It's true.
That's
I
awesome.
was that guy when I first moved to New York in the 80s. I was like, it was still so seedy then,
Well,
and it was
that's
just like I
yes.
I couldn't wait to like go to where like the grittiest part of Times Square and be like, this is where like somebody probably got like murdered.
No, it's true. It was seedy in the early 80s, late 70s. And, I lived there, I mean, I lived.
Well, that's when
So,
Yeah,
drugs and crack and all that really picked up. That's when it really turned on. I
it
mean,
was
Nancy
it's
Reagan just say
crazy.
no, right? Everyone said yes,
yep.
or
Yeah,
mind your own business, pretty much. So her campaign, I think, enticed people to do drugs. In fact, because everybody does the opposite of what they're told to do. Think about it. If you're told not to, you're going to.
it doesn't matter. That's not even the thing.
It's just drugs.
Drugs has such
A
a
grip.
talent hook into your core DNA
Oh yeah,
to where the addiction is the demon itself.
it sells
You
itself. You
you
don't even
will
have to promote it. Yep.
you will yeah, like the heinous things that addicts have done for a $5 hit of crack
Scary.
right there tells you the grip the addiction has in your core. So
Yeah.
Nancy Reagan had nothing. The reverse psychology that was so far out of the orbit. It was such a
I said no.
non-effective.
I listened.
uh,
I said no. I said no until I was
Yeah,
18.
just say no, right?
And
Yeah,
as soon as I moved out, it was like, woohoo.
yeah. You got heroin so embedded into your core that you're cutting off your grandma's wedding ring to get a $5 hit. Come on.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Grave Robin jewelry. That's a
yeah,
big thing right now, too. But
it's
that's
nuts.
another show on. We'll call that the Grave Robber show.
Anyway,
But
on
yeah.
that note,
All right,
I gotta run.
everybody. I got to run, too. Well, I'm going to walk, but I'll see you. I'll give you all a call. Joanne, tomorrow. I'll reach out. Ref, I'll reach out. Everybody, thanks for being here. It's been awesome. And we'll be back next Thursday on podbrothernation.com, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m.
Yep.
Pacific, 9:40 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll be here on Fireside doing the nightcap after show. And go to podbrothernation.com, FrankieJExperience.com, and email me at info@Frankie